Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. This is Pastor Nick. It's another Marketplace Monday. I am glad you all made a decision to join me today. And today, I don't know if you guys remember, but last week we were talking about scale. We were talking about scaling our businesses, right? And what I want to do is I want to shift. I know that I told y'all after we finished last week, I wanted to talk about, so we talked about process, right? 2 weeks ago, we talked about putting business process in place that makes us better, right? Automating things, making things, flow that way. Um, then we talked about scale. And really, what are the differences? Remember when we talked last week about scale? Scale is your business is growing. You're out there, you're hustling, you're getting busy, right? So things seem like they're growing, but they're not scaling, right? You're not making more money, you're making more activity, right? So today, what I want to talk about is if it can't run without you, your business, it's not a business. At the end of last week, we talked about the difference between a business and a hobby. But many people today think they own businesses, but what they actually own is a job. I'm going to make it even a little bit different than a hobby. You actually own a job. You have a business that creates the same income with a lot of times even more challenges than your job does. Because now you have your own business, but you don't have benefits. Now you have your own business, but you don't have paid days off. So, did you create a business or did you just create a job? A true business is built to operate, grow, and eventually transfer or sell. A true business is built to operate, grow, and eventually transfer or sell without being dependent upon one person. Without being dependent upon one person. So today, what I want to do is, I want to take this scale. I want to take this, really putting process in place, scale. I want to take it one step further, and this might be the biggest challenge for most people, and that is looking at your business from the perspective of not running, of running without you. Can your business run without you being there? Because guess what? If it can't, it's not a business. If it can't, it's not a business. It's self employment. And there's nothing wrong with self employment, but we need to understand the difference. A business is not something you create just to replace income. A business is something that you build that creates value independent of your daily presence. A business is something that you create that builds value independent of your daily presence. So let's look at this today. Number one, write this down: self employment versus enterprise. Self employment versus enterprise. Self employment, you're the product. Self employment, you're the operator. Self employment, income stops when you stop. Those are some key questions you can ask yourself right there to figure it out. Let me say it again. You're the product. It's all about you. Big John's was all about Big John for many, many years. Big John was the operator. He worked it, he ran it. It didn't go without him. And when Big John stopped, income stopped, right? What's the difference? What's an enterprise? An enterprise has systems that operate the business. Systems that operate the business. An enterprise has revenue that's generated through structure. Revenue that's generated through structure. And lastly, an enterprise value exists beyond just the founder. An enterprise value, in an enterprise, the value exists beyond just the founder, right? Research from the U.S. Small Business Administration shows that many small businesses remain dependent on owner operators, which tremendously limits their scalability and their long-term value. Their scalability and their long-term value. If you cannot step away for 30 days, you don't own a business, the business owns you. Let me say it again. If you cannot step away for 30 days and that business, if you step away for 30 days, the business is going to go under, you don't own a business, the business owns you. Point number 2, businesses are built to be transferable. Businesses are built, a business, not a hobby. True business are what? Number 1, they have documentation. They're documented. They're system. They have systems put in place. They're predictable and they're profitable. Why? Because value is created when something can be transferred. That's what we got to understand. I remember when we were getting ready to sell Voxeo, the company I work for here in Orlando. We originally got an offer of $80 million for the company. But then we brought in a CEO that was experienced at selling companies. Now, our CEO and founder, Jonathan Taylor, built the company from the ground up with his sweat and tears. But he was smart enough to know that if he brought in a CEO that was experienced, because he hadn't sold a company, at selling a company, he was going to get more value. Plus, he was going to learn the process. So in came a guy named Bob Ingalls. And Bob Ingalls took the company in a year and a half. We went from getting offered $80 million because of what we put in place to make the company more attractive. We went from $80 million to selling it for $150 million. Think about that. Why? Because we created something. Bob restructured our company in such a way that it was easily transferable. It was the way it was set up, the way we built it, it wasn't easily transferable. We need to understand value is created when something can be transferred, right? So as we look at the firms like McKinsey, right? They highlight that scaled or scalable organizations rely on standardized operating models, not founder heroics. Let me say that again. McKinsey finds that companies that really do well have scalable organizations and they rely on standardized operating models, not founder heroics, right? Not just the one guy, the straw that stirs the drink. If your business cannot be delegated, cannot be measured, cannot be replicated, it cannot be sold. Let me say that again. If your business cannot be delegated, cannot be measured, cannot be replicated, it cannot be sold, right? You have income, but you do not have any enterprise value. A real business creates equity. A job creates income. Write that down. Put that in the chat. A real business creates equity. A job creates income. So point number 3, and this is what I really wanted to get to for today. We have to shift our thinking again, right? Many people start businesses for one reason only. They don't want to be told what to do. They don't want to be bossed around. They want to be able to take vacation when they want to take it. They want to be able to take off when they want to take it. They want to go watch their kids play baseball. All the wrong reasons to start a business, because none of that exists in starting your own business. Because when you first start a business, you must put structure in place. And that structure requires a lot of hard work. Without structure, freedom turns into pressure. Without structure in a business, you think you're getting into freedom, but it's pressure. So you got to ask yourself, when you're building a business, when you're developing your business, can someone else run this? Are there processes in place that are documented to allow someone to come in and understand how to run the day-to-day activities of this business? Ask yourself this question: does this business being successful or failure generating revenue rely on me personally? Do I have to be here for this business to turn revenue? The goal is not just to work for yourself. The goal is to build something that works without you. Every business, if you're starting a business, again, nothing wrong with replacing your income if that's what you want to do. But a business, the goal has to be, will this work without me? Will this work without me? Will this work without me? So that's the questions we got to ask ourselves, ladies and gentlemen. And as we think of businesses, listen, it's great to be a business owner. It's great to own a business. There's a lot of good things behind it. But I am telling you, if you don't want to get in yourself in more trouble, take your time when you're thinking about building a business. Build a blueprint to start your business. Matter of fact, before you ever even start your business, build processes for your business. Think about how you're going to do it. Another thing you can do if you want to start a business, you want to be an entrepreneur. If you're connected to me in any way, you can call Leroy and Alta Emerson. They purchased a franchise. To me, that is the smartest way to own and operate your first business ever, to me, is find and vet. And even with a franchise, you got to get the right one. Okay. But get you a franchise and learn that way. Why? Because the franchise model puts the systems in place for you. You get to walk into a business that has structure, that has systems in place, has those things. And now the things that you're anointed to do sometimes can be accentuated in those environments. Okay? So listen, I hope this has helped. I'm just telling you, the thing I would think most about is just being thoughtful about what you're going to do. Do you want to start a business from the ground up? Have you ever asked yourself this question? Have you ever built an organization? What have you built from the ground up? That's how you determine whether you should start a franchise or you should start a business. These things take special skills. It's not as easy as everybody says. So I build a blueprint, I build a business model, and then I would take to some people that have experience in business and I tell them, poke holes in this. Tell me what I'm missing. Tell me what I'm not looking at. Tell me what I'm not seeing. And lastly, the main thing, I would make sure I have proper funding in place. Do not start a business on a shoestring budget. Make sure you have proper funding. Amen. Listen, I hope this helped you. Until next Monday, Pastor Nick saying, enjoy